How about the reigning Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers? They finished last year with 110 points, which was first in the Atlantic, and then won their first Stanley Cup in franchise history. It was so exciting. We were there. And after that, you know what happened, Pete? They got ransacked. The defending Cup champions have been ransacked. They lost Brandon Montour, Oliver Ekman-Larsson, Vladimir Tarasenko, Anthony Stolarz, Kevin Stenlund, Nick Cousins, Kyle Okposo. That's a lot of guys to lose. And to make up for it, Nate Schmidt, Tomas Nosek, and Adam Boqvist. So the biggest loss is Brandon Montour, who led their team in time on ice per games played in the regular season last year. And yes, Gustav Forsling really, really took that step forward in the postseason and established that he was their top dog on defense. But when you are a team that has made back-to-back cup runs, to lose your leader in time on ice, oh man, I think that they're not going anywhere, but I think that this could be a year in which the Panthers are sucking wind a bit.
Yeah, but my question would be, does it even fucking matter? Because this is a team that back-to-back years has made the Stanley Cup final. One year they did it as an 8 seed, and the next year they did it as a division winner and number 2 seed. So, like, to me, they're just a team that can tread water in the regular season, preserve themselves, and then go when they get to the postseason. That's like what the Tampa Bay Lightning were before the Florida Panthers, where it's like, just call me in March when this team is there, and then that's when their season begins.
So that's what they have to do. That's what their strategy needs to be. And I think that no matter what ends up happening, they'll end up saying that their strategy is that, because it's just, I don't think that they can't win the division, but it's, I don't know, maybe less likely that they're going to win the division after just having a deep playoff run. So I think they should program their brains that way, which is, don't have a horrible October. We've seen cup winners and teams that make deep runs come out and suck, and you ask questions of like, wait, is this team even going to make the playoffs? Just don't do that to yourselves, but tread water, be good, have runs, add a piece or two at the trade deadline. It's going to be tough to do because they don't really have any cap space. And then once you get to the playoffs, we've been here before, we know what it takes to win, and go from there thing. Gustav Forsling is a Norris season loading for him, because this is a trophy that is voted on by the PHWA. It's not GMs and stuff. It's by the dopes like us who are watching the games. And a lot of times if a player, quote unquote, breaks out in the postseason, they'll get an award the next year because everyone just learned who that player was. Hopefully we all knew who Gus Forsling was, but has he brought himself to the Norris caliber type of player that maybe we didn't know he was?
No, because the numbers just won't be there. He's like a Jacob Slavin, where it's like everybody recognizes that he's one of the best defensemen in the entire league, but his numbers offensively just will never fucking be
Where
there.
the assists, dog.
Yeah, like especially when you're playing at the same time as Cale Makar, Quinn Hughes. Like it's just not going to happen. I think that we've all gotten to a point where we recognize how good and important Gus Forsling is, and that should be good enough. Hey, thanks for watching the channel.
We appreciate everybody who checks out our stuff, but 80% of our viewers are not actually subscribed to this page, so if you could smash that subscribe button, it would go a very long way for us.
The more subscriptions we have, the more visibility we get from YouTube, which allows us to do more.
So press that button. Thank you. So the positive of their off season, and I mentioned the guys that they brought in, but the big thing was that they were able to keep some of their guys, mainly Sam Reinhart, who they gave an 8-year contract, but they lose a third of their blue line. Half their bottom 6 is also gone, and their backup goaltender is gone because Stolarz has departed. So when they do get to the postseason again, are they strong enough to have that kind of same identity? We haven't mentioned Matthew Tkachuk's name. You can think that as long as Matthew Tkachuk is there, they'll have that. Mm-hmm. We're going to piss you off. Sam Bennett as well. Like, we're going to kind of piss you off, and we're going to find a way to win games sort of identity. But when you don't have the bottom 6, and when your defense does take a hit, are they going to be able to do that same sort of thing?
Yeah, I mean, I think so because they're keeping a lot of the same pillars, and not to continue comparing them to the Lightning, but I think that they do have a similar sort of blueprint where like they've got top players at each position, and like they're still gonna have Barkov, they're still gonna have Forsling, and like those are two of the best defensive players at each of their positions. And having those shutdown guys in the playoffs is massive. But then you've also got like Bennett, Tkachuk, Reinhart, Verhaeghe, and like
Evan
those guys
Rodriguez was the balls in the
I know.
postseason last
But
year.
a guy that doesn't get talked enough about is Anton Lundell, who is like what Anthony Cirelli, Braden Point was for the Lightning. And I think that he can fill that role. And like
not as good as Point, but I know what you're saying.
Yeah, no. But
like after the
ceiling,
Stars,
but like early Point.
Yes.
But like those are the positions where you want to have the guy because you can fill in the spots around them and strike gold when people didn't expect you. You're not going to strike gold filling those positions. Like they have the most important things already locked down. So I'm not closing the door or saying that they are not capable of running it back and winning a Stanley Cup.
Happy birthday this week to the great Sergei Bobrovsky, who won his cup last year. He turns 36 this week. So at 36 years young, how do you feel about him coming off a season in which he had a .915 save percentage? It's been an up and down experience for Sergei Bobrovsky in Florida. And now I think he has just arrived in his old age at, he's kind of always been that dude, even if for pockets here and there, he's not really that dude.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like you don't really know what you're going to get, but if you get what you're hoping, it is the best you could get.
David Price.
Yeah, right. So I'm not going to say that do I think that Bobrovsky is going to be a top goaltender in the league after what he just did? No, I think that he's a fucking Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde kind of guy, but behind him, they do have Spencer Knight, who has not fulfilled his NHL prophecy. I know that he's gone through a lot and is trying to find his stability at the NHL ranks. But don't forget, this guy was heralded as a prospect. So if they do have to end up turning to him and he's got all the pieces falling into place in his own personal life in camp, he could be certainly good enough for them.
If I throw out the number one, what do you think I'm talking about?
Spencer Knight.
With the Florida Panthers.
Spencer Knight?
I'm talking about the number of teams that have better Stanley Cup odds than the Florida Panthers.
Number 30. I thought he was number
They
100.
have plus 1,000 odds to win the Stanley Cup, which is behind only Edmonton. Do you feel that where the Panthers are right now, they should be at the tippity top with the Oilers of Cup favorites? I'd just slowly move them down just a little bit.
I can understand it. I don't necessarily agree with it.
I think that they're like Colorado of could they do I think they're going to be there in the end-ish? Yeah. They're going to be a Final Four-ish team, and then we'll see what happens from there. But I don't think of the Panthers as an obviously they'll be there kind of team right now.
Yeah, I see the Oilers more as that.
We all silly like the mayor.